Hi everyone, this is Ronnie. Sometimes I get comments about some of the stuff I say about fasting, dry fasting, and all that. So I guess I'll make a little bit more of a slightly detailed video on that. Before I say that, there's tickets still left for UK Fruit Fest. So there'll be a link down below in the comments. If there's not a link, if I forget to put it there, fruitfest.co.uk, and you can find out more information there. And hope to see you there. So I talk sometimes about fasting or dry fasting, and I don't really recommend either of them. And I certainly don't recommend dry fasting, and I don't heavily promote fasting. And people might ask why, and a lot of people say, well, that's because you've not got experience with it. And my experience with those two things, consciously, I've never dry fasted that I can think of. And in terms of water fasting, the most I've done is maybe 4 days, maybe 5 days. Rarely have I done it really wanting to do it. One time I did it at a friend's house. He was kind of encouraging me to do it. He thought I should do it, and he was quite a persuasive person, so I went along. And another time I had a girlfriend that was doing it, so I did it sort of in support with her, and it was yeah. Anyway, that was sort of what I was doing at that point, and I've done maybe a day here and there, 2 days. It's it's not some even at times when my body seems to want to not eat. I still usually eat something. So people say a body initiated fast, like you should just listen to your body because your body's right all the time. It's That's not true. That's not. But people want a simple solution to everything, and listening to your body. What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. So, but people like these simple ideas. But I'm very, I've been very offensive, I guess, again. But the in my position as running a fruit festival, so when I'm going there up on stage, choosing what's going to be spoken to, there's maybe hundreds of people there. There's been not so many people the last few years. We've kind of made it a smaller event on purpose, but there's still many dozens, 100, whatever, however many people will be this year, maybe 100, 120, whatever. Um, and there's a responsibility there to make sure that people get the right message, get a message that works for them, that's going to actually help them. I think there's a responsibility there to do that and make sure you're not putting across messages and ideas and supporting messages and ideas that are dangerous. And you might say that when someone else is speaking, that's not really your responsibility, but I see it as it is. It's your responsibility, whatever is being spoken about on that stage. And sometimes we've failed with that. We've had some stuff said at the festival that wasn't ideal, that wasn't what we would want people to say. So we've had to be more strict over the years with monitoring what people are talking about and what they're sharing with the audience. Because as soon as someone's up on a stage, they are immediately promoted. There's an immediate sense of authority about them. And there's an immediate sense that they've got the weight of the festival behind them and everything, and that might not always be the case, but that's certainly what it feels like. And for many people in the audience, they're also quite new to this, so they don't have the whole context of who these people are. So they could assume, okay, this person's the expert. This is the person to listen to, and everything they're saying is right. And you might think, well, that's not how most people are, but there are going to be people that will be very heavily influenced by what they hear at events, and then they'll go and spread that information to others, and they'll say things. And there's certain things that ideas that spread like wildfire, and other ideas that don't. The whole raw vegan diet doesn't really spread like wildfire because people don't want to hear, oh, you're sick. you can eat fruits and vegetables and you'll get better. People don't really want to hear that. So it's not an idea that spreads that quickly, that virally as a concept. So um, the way that I look at these things, and when I'm putting a message out, I have the experience of seeing the feedback of people from the festival. I have the experience of watching people from the festival over the years live their life and seeing the impact it has on them. I see the way that people act. I've had people leave the festival because of things that they've either heard or said or messages that have been put out. I've watched the impact of that. I've been at multiple other events and seen how people progressed in life and taken a message and listened to this thing and tried this out and didn't really work. And then others have tried this thing out and that worked really well. So I'm very conscious of all that. And my interest was always, how do we put across the strongest message to give people the best chance of success with a raw vegan diet and therefore with a healthier life and for the rest of their life. So that was always my curiosity and interest and something I was always focused and thinking on. So when it comes to the topic of fasting and dry fasting, you can easily say, yeah, well, fasting works and fasting is good. And I magically healed everything with fasting. And a lot of people have good stories and lots of great stories. And the people that have done fasting talk about it's miraculous, it's amazing, this is the greatest thing ever. And that's all perfectly fine. And I'm sure a lot of that's true. And there are miraculous stories about a person leaving a fast, coming to the fast in a wheelchair, leaving the fast, tap dancing, There's great stories about that. There's people in pain, lifetimes of pain, come out of the fast, the pain's gone. First time in their life. There's stories of all this stuff coming out of people. People love this, particularly. Stuff oozing out of people. Black stuff, yellow stuff, emitting from orifices. People love those stories because some people like this idea they're full of garbage and that's the problem in their life. They just got it out. Like the people have this concept and people love that. They're full of dirt and badness and nastiness and disgusting stuff and they need to get it out and they need to detox again and get it out. And you're like, what are you trying to get? And that's why people love the mucoid plaque thing. Love it. Because it's a confirmation of you're full of toxic, bad stuff. And the truth is that you're not really, And we're producing waste all the time, As far as I'm aware, all the cells produce waste. And then it has to be removed. And we're constantly removing waste. But that's a normal and perfectly normal part of things. And the idea that your bowels and intestines are full of I just always think with mucoid plaque, talking about a lifetime and all that's come out is like, oh, I released 10 pounds of mucoid plaque. So over the course of your entire lifetime, only 10 pounds of the, I don't know how many tens of thousands of pounds of food that you've consumed, toxic, bad food, that only this tiny amount remains stuck onto, like, if it was all stuck and encrusted and dry, that would block incredibly quickly. No one's thinking this through because everyone wants it to be real. Everyone wants to be, not everyone, but a lot of people want this mucoid plaque thing to be real. Someone was commenting in Fruity Fridays like, I did a 25-day fast and no mucoid plaque came out. What am I doing wrong? There's a lot of people that should know better, but they get convinced into doing. That's why fasting practitioners, well, there's not that many, but that's why some people talk about mucoid plaque. It's a way of selling you on doing a fast. That's the way I look at it for some people, or a cleanse or a detox. It's a major way of selling people into doing a detox and a cleanse. I want you to understand that it's not that unusual. It's pretty standard for businesses to essentially create stories. And do you call it a lie? Do you call it what's called puffery? And puffery, some of you might have heard that term. In the world of business, it's kind of like acceptable for you to basically lie about your product. It's acceptable for you to say, this is the best car ever, you know. Now, what you can't do is say like something that's definably a lie, you know. But you can make up things that are kind of, what do you call it, like subjective or whatever. You can say like, this is the best thing ever. This is the most amazing thing ever. And to some degree, I don't know if you call it legal, but it's par for the course in the world of sales and marketing that people are essentially creating a bit of a lie, or maybe not. Maybe lie is a strong word, but a misrepresentation, a bending of reality, creating. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the right phrase is. You could say lie, but I think that's a bit of an unkind phrase. It's storytelling. Storytelling. And some people say don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, you know. So it's storytelling, I suppose. It's the same way as people go into a job interview and all of a sudden they're the greatest person in the world. Like they're you know, what's your weakness? Well, I work too hard and I'm way too loyal and committed, you know. Like so people lie in situations like this. And by the way, when people are confronted with sales messages and marketing messages, they kind of assume there's a lie going on. They lie in return. In negotiations, people essentially lie or misrepresent. They don't go in and say, this is exactly how much money I got to spend, you know. And the other side goes, well, this is exactly how cheap we can sell it for. You know, that's not what goes on. So, and in that is where there's a lot of these stories come from. So the people that sell these detox things, if you just put an advert up and put a thing up, detox thing, have it, you know, for a while and your body cleans it, good, yeah. You know, it's not very impactful. If you create that story around it, that idea, if you have the whole thing of all this garbage in a person coming out, like there's something very visceral and real about that. There's some element of truth to it. Like stuff will come out, but it's just the stuff that comes out. Like it's stuff that comes out of you anyway. And the other thing is, what is the other thing? Yeah, the whole soil stuff, all that soil, mineral, all that, it's all a sales story. I don't understand how people don't get this. It's not a scientific thing. It's a sales story. It's a marketing story. It goes back, I don't know where it goes back to, but it goes back probably at least 100 years when door-to-door salesmen would sell supplements. It's always been a product in door-to-door sales, direct sales. Multi-level marketing companies now sell, traditionally have always sold supplements because it's a product with a high margin. It's a sellable product that is a profitable product to sell. You create a story around it, and the story is always, well, you know, you can't trust the food anymore. Do you trust you trust the food in the supermarket? Like people look down on each other. You go to Tesco? Are you kidding? Tesco? You really believe that Tesco, Asda, you think they care about you? Really? What, the farmers? You think they know what they're doing? Are you stupid? No, this supplement company, they know what they're doing. Like, it's crazy. But people buy into that story. It works and it makes people buy stuff. And that's why they keep putting that story out there. It's not true. There's no science to it. There's no evidence to it. But people keep putting it out there, keep putting it out there. And because people have heard it so many times and it's a believable sounding story and it's a convenient story, people believe it. And to me, unbelievably, educators, raw vegan educators and stuff, believe it too. And they're they're saying it and putting it out there. You're like, surely you know this is a sales, it's just a marketing message. But they don't, and they won't accept that. Anyway, so you're in safe hands here. I'm telling you all the secrets. I'm telling you all the secrets. When it comes to stories around fasting and dry fasting. So fasting and dry fasting are a far more compelling message than do a raw vegan diet. Eat bananas. Eat bananas is like the most boring thing in the world. Eat bananas. Eat apples. Why do you think? Why do you think people buy supplements on all these weird products? Why have they not tried eat apples, eat bananas? They know those are healthy foods. Why have they not tried doing that? Because they don't want to do that. It's not what people want to do. They're addicted to other foods. They've been trained and addicted onto foods that are addictive. And then these natural foods look boring to them now. And they are, in comparison. They're boring. They don't stimulate. And people are used to food being addictive and stimulating. And so the idea of changing your diet, and everyone goes on a raw vegan diet, doesn't eat enough, partly because they're not used to actually consciously eating. Not just wait for the addiction to tell me to eat. Wait for the cravings to tell me to eat. No, bananas don't sit and tell you to eat them. You have to go, oh yeah, my fuel source, my energy is running low, I should eat. It's not this. So people are like, I don't feel hungry. Why do I need to eat more? I don't feel hungry. No, you just don't have the addictive craving urge, the desperate feeling to eat that you're so used to. Bananas doesn't do that. Apples doesn't do that. So, fasting is a compelling message, far more compelling than raw vegan diet, because it's quick, fast, transformational, and there's a sacrifice to it, and people like that. There's something compelling about I'm going to sacrifice, I'm going to go through this hardship, I'm going to do this extreme thing to get an extreme result quickly, which is magical thinking, bad thinking. Everything I've ever got into in life, and everything you can there's only so many things in life really that we can try and improve at. You can look into your career, you can look into improving your financial situation, which is linked to your career but not exactly. So finances, maybe investing, things like that. Those are important parts of life. Relationships, friendships, community, maybe giving back to community, maybe religious life, spiritual life. And then after all that, how many other things? And then it's like individual different hobbies and interests, and education would be one area, self-improvement. So in all these things, when you start a path down any of those areas, there's always a quick fix idea that's being sold to people. There's always a quick solution. Financially, there's the quick way to make money. There's quick way, and there are legitimately quicker ways or quick ways in some ways. But generally, most of the things that get put across as a quick fix are never quick, or are scams sometimes. And certainly a lot of scams will be sold as because people are compelled to the idea of quick, fast, easy. When it comes to the spiritual life, why are so many people taking hallucinogenic drugs to get a spiritual experience? Why are people who have never had any background in that all of a sudden thinking, I should immediately get a spiritual experience? I'm going to blast my head off with plant medicines or whatever. It's quick, it's easy, it's compelling. It's the same thing over and over again. If you say to that person, well, what you need to do is, or even Vipassana is another thing. 10 days, 10 hours of meditation a day, retreat. Why not do 20 minutes of meditation a day for the rest of your life? Why, what are you trying to do this quick 10 days, and I've seen this so many times. The people who are very new to exploring these topics all of a sudden want to do this extreme thing. So in the world of health situations, I'm not sure what the equivalent would be in relationships. I'm not really sure, but anyway, but in in terms of health sort of world, people come to the health world, and it's these quick detoxes, these quick things. Lose 10 pounds in a week, like all that kind of message. Quick, easy. Here's a diet, you can eat as much as you like and lose weight. Everyone wants to hear that. So we're constantly, because of our nature of wanting the quick, the easy, the fast, the maximum result, minimum time, because we're so driven to find that, people will sell that over and over and over, and then have compelling messages, marketing messages around selling those things. So fasting to me is an example of one of these things. And there are legitimate benefits to fasting, and there are people that use it in certain ways, and it has benefits to it. But for me personally, I've seen plenty of people that have done fasting. I've seen plenty of people that have done a 30-day fast, 20, or maybe not 30, 25-day fast, 20-day fast, like long-term fasts. I've seen plenty of people that have done these things. And so many have went back to a less than optimal diet afterwards, or sometimes after. And the same with people doing juice fasts and juice cleanses and all of those things. It's a desire for something quick and fast and easy. Not necessarily easy, but something quick. And it's super compelling to fast. So I don't personally see it. If you want to be, if your goal, and I think the goal is really to have to live healthfully for life and to feel really great every day. I think that's the goal. Feel really fantastic every day. And if that is your goal, then I don't think focusing on doing a fast is the answer. So even in the best situation, I see people do a fast, come off the fast, and very often have went back to whatever the diet was that put them on the fast in the first place. Very, very often. It's not a life changer. It's not a game changer for many people. And what I also tend to see is often people that do fast and have a positive experience, they want to fast again. And then fast again. And then it becomes, I don't want to say an obsession, but it can become a little bit of a thing where people are doing it quite a lot. And some people, it ends up being a part of their lifestyle. It's like every week they're doing a fast. So in the best situations, I've rarely seen real results. Now, do people have a good personal experience, maybe a personal growth, spiritual experience, maybe they feel like there's some benefit that's happened? Yes, there's people that talk about benefits, there's people that enjoy the experience. And is it a good idea that we let the body rest or whatever? You know, these are us having a total mistaken idea of the body. Or you let the body rest, you let your digestive system rest. Like, your heart never rests. Your lungs never rest. And basically, your body never rests. You know, your physical muscles rest, but those muscles are not designed to work all the time, whereas your heart muscles and other muscles are. They don't fatigue in the same way, and it would be the same with our digestive system. So the need for it to rest is not as great a need as people maybe think, and the benefit to that will not be as great. But the benefit is if you're not having the food. But if you go into a fruit diet, you're immediately giving the body a rest. So anyway, so that's like on the best side of fasting. The best side of fasting, I see it may be a positive experience for a person. Has it on occasion led to some transformational benefit, real health transformation, real it maybe has. As I say, the person that goes in a wheelchair comes out of a wheelchair, but that person often goes back to what put them in a wheelchair. That is the sad thing about it. That is the truth about it. that even coming out of a wheelchair is not enough for that person to then establish a new diet afterwards. And so many of the stories you'll hear when people say, here's a fantastic story about fasting, here's all the things that have happened, here's the person that healed themselves, so many times that you'll hear stuff like that, the person went right back to what they did and got just as sick and sicker. I'm telling you, over and over and over it happens. There was a guy, here's one interesting story. I came across a guy online just by accident who was like a really successful young guy, very young guy, doing property business type stuff, real estate type stuff. And he was Canadian, I believe. And videos were coming up with him online, and he was teaching people about money making, property deals. But he also was talking about all this esoteric stuff about how the world was working and who controlled the world and all this stuff. And he kept coming up on TikTok a while back. So I kept on seeing this guy, and I was like, and he had this big beard and stuff. He was skinny, and I thought he's kind of interesting. This guy, he's a bit of an enigma. And then I saw him in an interview, and he was talking about doing fasting in Costa Rica in the jungle, and I was like, he must have been at Lauren Lockman's. I don't know why I thought that, but I just like, he was probably at Lauren Lockman's place, Tanglewood. And the guy goes, yeah, I had cancer, and I went in to do the talk with the guy, the chemotherapy, and I decided I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go and do fasting. So he went and did a 40-day water fast, and he was like, yep, the cancer's gone. Great story, right? And then, so I'm following this guy online a little bit, and like, wow, he's kind of into raw veganism and stuff, and he's talking about that. Completely didn't expect that. And then one day, I see one of his videos, and everyone's R.I.P., 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 rest in peace. Like, what's happened here? The guy died in his late 20s. Why? Because he got cancer. And he did one 40-day water fast. And he did another 40-day water fast. And he died. Now, it's not nice to say that, but 2 40-day water fasts. And died. Now, his story that will have went out to the world is he did a 40-day water fast and cured his cancer. But a lot of people that saw that video won't have seen that it came back, that he went to do the water fast again, that it came back, that he died. Now, it might be the case, you can all say, oh, he probably went back to his bad diet afterwards. Maybe he did. But that doesn't, if you got rid of cancer 100%, it wouldn't come back that quickly, right? Even if you had the worst diet. So really, he didn't treat the cancer. Just did a water fast for a while. And he was maybe potentially encouraged or sold into the idea or believed it would be good. And I would never tell someone who's got cancer to do a water fast. Like, I think I don't know. And I think the people that run these centres know enough to know that that water fasting doesn't cure cancer. I think they know enough to know. But who cares, eh? It's not them that's dying. Someone else is dying. So, not my responsibility, right? So, I don't know. To me, it's bizarre. Like the same with that place. What's the place in Mexico that takes $25,000 off people for them to go and die there? The center. What's it called? Gerson Therapy, Gerson Clinic. People go and pay them huge amounts of money to go, and they've got no hope, and they go and fucking die there of cancer because of a nonsense documentary called The Beautiful Truth about how fast, about Gerson therapy curing cancer and all that stuff. It's terrible. Anyway, so fasting, there's a dark side to it. There's a lot of people that go and fast and die. Not die because of the fast, but they're doing fasting when there could be medical treatments, medical interventions that might help, especially if it's cancer. So anyway, this is like in the best situations, fasting is, you survive, you might feel good, get benefits. What about the worst situations with fasting? It's quite a long video, really, but what about the worst situations? The worst situations with fasting, you're triggering eating disorders, you're triggering lifelong anxieties around eating, you're continuing patterns of undereating, you're continuing all sorts of bad stuff in that area of of things. Um, and you might say that's a very small amount of people. To me, that's enough people. The amount of people with an eating disorder of some nature is huge. It's because people are eating a shitty diet. Like, everyone blames the raw vegan diet for causing eating disorders. It's like, are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? Look at the statistics on eating disorders. It's huge, huge. And it comes from people having a bad diet that causes bad problems for people, that causes disease and discomfort. So, of course, people develop bad relationships with food. And makes people gain weight easily, which is another trigger for eating disorders. Nothing to do with raw vegan foods. So, but the raw vegan world attracts people that have eating disorders because it's a restrictive eating thing. That's the way they look at it, and they can hide, and if they're doing fasting, we can pretend that what we're doing is fasting, and that's what happens. People like pretend, oh yeah, I'm fasting. They're not fasting. They have eating disorder issues, and when people are fasting all the time, like once a week, or they say once a week, but maybe it's more. And there's also a fasting and binging cycle that people have where they fast, they binge, they fast, they binge. Quite common for some reason for people to do that. These are the negative sides of fasting. And eating disorders are death, potentially. People do die of them. But eating disorders destroy people's lives and destroy the life of the family around them, the people around them. It's almost like drugs. It's almost like a person getting addicted to drugs. It's kind of like, if you imagine that, the scenario of how that affects everyone around them and everything. It's the same kind of a thing. It's a damaging, destructive thing. So I don't want to be anywhere involved in promoting ideas that might lead to some people going down that path, that might trigger that might bring that back in people. And that's, so I'm pretty clear on that, in terms of, that's why with fasting, I don't want to really strongly promote it. I don't want to create to, like, even with the Fruity Fridays, even with the interviews that I've done, I don't want to ask people about fasting. I don't want to hear about their fasting experience, really. Some people want to go on about it over and over, and that's part of their story. But to me, even on the best side of it, I don't see a huge benefit. On the worst side of it, I see really bad things happening. And in general, for most people, fairly safe thing to do. Curiosity, if you want to do it, maybe it will, maybe it will. Maybe you'll be one of the people that gets a real benefit from it. But for so many people, I know people that did a 25-day water fast 10, 15 years ago. What benefit is that to them now that they've put on weight again and they've done all this, and now they're eating bad food? And what benefit is that to them? See, the benefit comes from long-term changes of habit patterns. The long-term change you make 10 years ago benefits you today because you still have the habit in place. Breaking the habit 10 years ago, building the new habit. Water fast doesn't do that. Doesn't build or break a habit. It doesn't last long enough to do that, unless you're Angus Barbieri and you do it for a year. Then it might work for you. Dry fasting, on the other hand, is so associated with people dying that you just can't responsibly put it out there in any way and have any support around it. It's just that too many people have died. Even if it's just a handful, it's enough because not many people drive fast. So when there's not many people doing it and a whole bunch of people have died from it or died in connection with it, have damaged themselves in connection with it, it's like you cannot say anything positive about it. You cannot be, to me, you cannot be even 1%. Well, maybe you do it for 6 hours and it's okay. People want to say, I healed this, I healed that. I don't care. I really don't care what you think you healed with a dry fast. There's too many people that have died and damaged themselves. And and on the worst side of it, there's actual death. But there's people doing challenges. This is not health. This is ego. This is some kind of pathology. It's negative. When people are doing, how long can I go without water? And they're doing over a week, 2 weeks. Like there's people that are going, mate, I don't know. Are they really doing that? I don't know. This is delusional people. This is mental unwellness, and I'm not even joking here. This is people on the fringe. This is people who don't have community around them. This is people who are out there traveling somewhere on their own around spiritual groups of whatever conscious communities nonsense. These dangerous places, quite frankly, that people go traveling to certain parts of the world where all they're surrounded by is other travelers, other backpackers, other people that don't really know you and care about you that much. Is the truth. And as annoying as your parents or your family or lifelong friends around you might be, they are not going to be that happy to watch you go downhill very quickly doing a dry fast. And whereas other people, if you go out traveling somewhere and go to some community or some group, they might support you going downhill on a dry fast. Because they might think this is great. Um, there's a lot of darkness to me in fasting and dry fasting. Dark, dark, darkness. Just like eating disorders, pure darkness, darkness. So I stay away from that. I stay away from all that. It's less compelling message, but I encourage people, get long-term on a raw vegan diet. That's where your healing will come. It'll take time. It'll take years. Get consistent on it. It'll take a long time. And if 10 years down the line you think, maybe there's another level to this, maybe you go and do a fast. With a practitioner, under supervision, and you take the time to do that. And you explore that in a responsible way. But for people at the start of their journey, what you need to do is break your habits, break your addictions, start new habits, and focus on that. Go as long as you can with your diet change, so that you start to break those patterns and create new patterns that last decades. The fast doesn't make that change. So, long video. Thank you for watching. Feel free to comment below, let me know what you think. And the UK Fruit Fest, fruitfest.co.uk. You can also join us on Fruity Fridays this Friday and every Friday after that. Go to fruitfest.co.uk for more information about that as well. You can join our newsletter. Anyway, thank you very much.